This is how much India has changed as a sporting nation. We've gone from hoping for medals at Olympics to now when we're hoping there are no big upsets against our medal favourites, as India's 119 strong sporting contingent for the Tokyo Olympics features at least 10 players who are in the top 3 of the world rankings. India is going to be competing for 85 medals at the Tokyo Olympics, and while just qualifying for these games is indeed a huge remarkable achievement for a few athletes like Bhavani Devi, who's become the first ever Indian fencer to qualify for an Olympic Games, or for Fawad Mirza, who became the first equestrian from India to qualify for an Olympics in over 20 years, or Neeraj Chopra, who became the first Indian female sailor to qualify for an Olympics, or for Sergeant Prakash, who became the first ever Indian swimmer to automatically qualify for an Olympic Games. A lot of expectations are riding on our Indian contingent, expectations based also on hope but also on solid world ranking and recent form. And who better to start off with when we talk about recent form than Deepika Kumari, the archer who capped off her Tokyo Olympics preparations with 3 gold medals in the Archery World Cup in Paris this June. A performance that actually saw her reclaim her world #1 crown for the first time since 2012. Along with her husband Atanuda, she also makes a formidable mixed team, with the two winning the gold in Paris as well. Mirabai Chanu is a former world champion in the 49 kg weightlifting category. She goes into the Tokyo Olympics as the world #3. She also was a medal favourite at the Rio Olympics, and she of course will have some demons to vanquish after failing to register a clean and jerk score at the Rio Olympics. Of course, one may ask if she's recovered from that. Well, just this year, a few months back, she broke the world record in the clean and jerk. So, well, your guess is as good as mine on that. Her performance in the snatch event, though, is what tends to bring her average score down. So that is something Mirabai, of course, will be watching out for. She's, of course, going to be competing in one of the first medal categories for India at the Tokyo Olympics. On 24th July is when she starts as well. Next is Neeraj Chopra, perhaps India's biggest hope for a medal in track and field at the Tokyo Olympics. Neeraj, in fact, broke into the scene right before the Rio Olympics. His throw of 86.48 meters at the Under-20 World Championships right before the Tokyo Olympics, in fact, was good enough to have won him a bronze at the Rio Olympics. Unfortunately, he couldn't compete because the cut-off date deadline for competition and qualification had passed. But well, 5 years later, the army man is all ready to compete at the highest stage once again. And how ready is he, do you ask? Well, his personal best throw was registered this year, 88.07. It's not among the top 3 of this season. In fact, it's the 4th placed throw of the season. But Neeraj's ability to perform at the highest stage and the confidence that he has in himself definitely makes him a big medal prospect. And then, of course, there are the shooters, the wrestlers and the boxers. Always lots riding on these 3 contingents, these 3 teams, every time India travels for a big continental event, or of course the Olympics. Let's start with the shooters. Right now, in fact, there are 4 men and 5 women shooters who are in the top 3 of their world rankings at the moment. Quite a young squad has been picked this time around, but among them, the biggest medal hope, of course, is this young man being just 19 years old. Saurabh Chaudhary is so much of a favorite for a medal that he's in fact the only Indian picked in Time magazine's 48 athletes to watch out for at the Tokyo Olympics list. He's won 7 World Cup gold medals already, and in fact, in 2018 was India's youngest Asian Games gold medalist when he won a gold at the age of 16. And in fact, Saurabh is also not the world #1 in his event. It's in fact another Indian, Abhishek Verma, who leads the rankings in the 10-meter air pistol event, but Saurabh actually placed 2nd at the moment. But if you were to ask it for an honest opinion, Saurav's best chance for a gold medal in Tokyo probably will come in the mixed team event, where he partners with yet another 19-year-old Manu Bhaker. The two together, in fact, have won 4 World Cup golds already, including one just this year. 2 more Indian men, a 10-meter air rifle shooter Divyansh Singh Panwar and 50-meter rifle 3 positions shooter Aishwarya Pratap Singh, are ranked number 2 in the Tokyo rankings at the moment. Divyansh, in fact, is a medal prospect in the mixed event, along with women's 10-meter air rifle world number 1 Elavinil Valarivan. In fact, there are such riches in the Indian shooting team that 25-meter air pistol shooter Chinky Yadav, who actually booked the quota place for India in the event for the Tokyo Olympics and won a World Cup gold earlier this year, has not been selected to represent India at the Tokyo Olympics. Instead, it's Rahi Sarnobat and Manu Bhaker who in fact will be competing. They're actually the currently ranked world number 1 and 2 in the event at the moment. Manu's third event at the Tokyo Olympics will be the 10-meter air pistol, where she and Yashaswini Deswal are the world number 2 and 1. Next up, let's talk about the wrestlers. They're always, of course, favorites of ours. Vinesh Fogart also has a lot of demons to vanquish after the injury at the Rio Olympics. She's in top form. She's of course the top seed in her category and is of course a big medal favorite at the Tokyo Olympics. There are also 3 other men who have been seeded at the Tokyo Olympics. There's Bajrang Punia and Deepak Punia. Both of them are seeded 2nd, while Ravi Kumar is seeded 4th in his category. A little bit of a concern regarding Bajrang Punia, considering he injured himself about 3 weeks back. He's of course always a favorite no matter where he competes. So it just remains to be seen where his injury or his recovery is placed right now, and then we'll see where, if we do end up seeing him on the podium. And before I finish, I must talk about the boxers. India are sending a record 9 boxers to the Tokyo Olympics this time round, and of course leading the contingent at the opening ceremony, and of course leading the way and the charge is going to be MC Mary Kom. Mary has of course qualified for her 2nd Olympics after failing to qualify in Rio. Little bit of a redemption there for her as well. She is not seeded this time round, but there's of course no denying Mary when she's in the form that she always takes to the ring. Amit Panghal is the world number 1 and the top seed among the Indians competing in Tokyo. He of course is always a favorite. He won gold medals at the 2018 Asian Games, the 2019 Asian Championships, and also in 2019 he won a silver at the World Championships. So of course a lot riding on his shoulders as well. Lots of expectations from all of India's athletes. 119 of them are going to be competing for 85 medals this time round. And of course I can't end this video without mentioning PV Sindhu, not in the top 3 of her rankings. Didn't make the cut for this video, but PV Sindhu always a champion, always a favorite. She's the 6th seed in women's singles badminton this time. She's the silver medalist from the Rio Olympics. The gold medalist Carolina Marin of course is not going to be competing. She's pulled out due to an injury. So let's see where fate takes her. Fate and of course all her strength and all her form takes PV Sindhu and all the other athletes. Keep following all the videos on the Quint as we get you more and more updates from the Tokyo Olympics.
We are truthful, unafraid and independent because of you. Now you can help our reporting from the ground. Go to thequint.com, click Become a Member tab, choose a plan and pay, because the truth is worth it.